Mr. Transformers 96 here with another video review. This time we have the Transformers Studio Series Scrapper Constructicon, another piece towards Devastator, the 7th of the 8 Constructicons. So very excited to finally get this one. This is probably one of the Constructicons that I've been most excited for the Studio Series, because of the Constructicons that there are, I prefer the ones that are actually in the movie, just because the ones that are based on the concept art and the vehicle modes are cool, but I prefer the ones that were actually seen in the movie, and this is the only one that was seen in the movie that hasn't previously had a figure. Long Haul, Rampage, Mixmaster, Demolisher, we've had figures from them before. However, Scrapper, who's very clearly seen in a couple of shots in Revenge of the Fallen, even seen in a shot in Dark of the Moon, there's clear shots of him in the film, but there has never been a figure. I've always wanted one, so I'm very excited to see one here. This will be a non-transforming review, although I'll be showing it in all three modes, but I'm not going to be showing the transformations in between. There's some that I enjoy transforming on screen, some that I just don't. I'm actually really excited to get this the vehicle mode here into the limb mode and attach it to Devastator, so I'm pretty excited to do that, so I kind of want to get to it, to be honest. But let's start off with the construction vehicle mode. He's obviously a scooper, whatever you'd call this type of construction vehicle. It's overall pretty good. For the design of this character, this is a really nice mode, to be honest. Now, I think that there are issues for sure. There are a lot of just blank gaps in here where you can just kind of look and see right through it. I'm not a big fan of that, but he's got very spindly proportions, and the way that they have everything combine and go together and form the scoop that is actually like a functioning scoop as well is really impressive. So it's hard for me to fault the, being able to see in between it, since he's not a super structured, robot in his own, robot mode anyway. So what he transforms into is what you kind of expect, but it's done quite well. The transformation itself is pretty nice. Sometimes it's hard to keep the scoop all together because there's pieces of the scoop that all need to tab in, and then they're connected to pieces in the back that need to stay tabbed in. So sometimes they can kind of split, but it's not too bad. He wheels, his wheels move quite nicely on this. I think that looks quite good. And then I do like that you even have like some kind of exhaust pipe sticking out, which just looks good. And those are a part of his arms that are, left there right here, that when they actually go in, they form nice kind of hoses on the back that look pretty natural. So I do like that. I think that the window section up here is really nice. It has almost like a metallic light blue, so it catches the light, gives it a window look, which is very cool. Overall, pretty solid vehicle mode. I think it's quite nice for the spindly design of the robot to compact into a pretty solid, kind of construction bulky vehicle. Works pretty nicely with a working scoop at the front that is multiple pieces that attach to each other. It's not just like he's got a scoop on his back or something. These are actually, his limbs that transform into it, which is quite nice. It's much better than just him having the piece on the back or something like that. So pretty interesting and complex design, to be honest. I think it's quite cool, especially since, of course, he does have the third mode. But overall, he does look quite nice. Before we get into the robot mode, let's go over that limb mode as well. Alright, and here we have the limb mode for Scrapper, or Devastator. As you can see, very nice. It does definitely resemble his arm. It gives you the 3-finger type of look with the big scooping pieces as the fingers. So it does exactly what it needs to do. There's not much that's different with it. Literally, to get it this way, you would just have to rotate these down, flip this up, and then you pull the wheels up and attach them a little higher. That's basically the only differences between this mode and his construction vehicle mode, so very similar, not a whole lot different there. Overall, looking quite nice. I think that it does look pretty good. I mean, I'm trying to think of ways reasonably, without changing the design of this thing, how you could make it better. Getting rid of this piece and having it go on the back back or something, just so that you don't have like that construction vehicle piece right there. That would be nice to get rid of that. It would make it look a little bit more just kind of piece-like rather than just a construction vehicle on his arm. But overall, I do think it looks good. The joints are very tight as well on these pieces, so that's why you can, prop them up just by the fingers, which is good too. So I do like that. That's one of the issues with his other arm, is that there's more ball joints, so the joints are slightly looser. Like, they're perfectly fine for the robot mode, but when it comes to holding up his entire arm with other Constructicons, they're a little bit loose. So yeah, overall looking good though. Before you actually get to see it on Devastator though, let's talk about Scrapper, and then we'll give you a shot of Devastator fully complete, except for one piece, unfortunately. Alright, so on to the Constructicon himself, robot mode. Looking great. I mean, as far as what we see in the film, the concept art, everything, this is a perfect representation. I really don't have any issues with the physical structure for the most part of the robot mode. Going over his face, I think that it looks quite good. Definitely resembles the look of Scrapper as we saw in the film. I think it looks nice. I also like the articulation on it. He's on a ball joint, but it's also a ball joint that's on a hinge that goes this way, so it allows you to have him look side to side, which is cool, rather than up and down, which is kind of the norm. So I think that is quite nice. But with the ball joint, he still can look down and stuff too, so very nice. I like his broad shoulders with his head, kind of sunk in towards the middle of his body. I think it's quite neat. His right arm is the big hook piece. This claw piece is exactly the same as one of his fingers in Devastator mode as well. So basically you just transform it into this claw, and that's his thumb essentially in Devastator mode. Overall, it looks pretty good. It's a little boxy or squarey, like a big square here. I wish that maybe these panels could fold up a little bit and make it a little more angled rather than just like the claws on a rectangle, But overall, I do think it looks good, and the articulation to it is really nice. You can get a lot of range there, a lot of motion, which is cool. The other arm's got that kind of wrecking ball style fingers. It would be awesome if these fingers were individually articulated. That's a bit much to ask for though, from Hasbro, so I don't actually expect that, but that would be cool. But overall it looks good. My biggest issue or complaint with the robot mode is this hand, for the fact that he doesn't come with like, I would have loved it if you could detach this and have a bit of a plastic chain, because that's the big shot of him that we see in the film, is when he's trying to crush Sam and Michaela, and he throws his hand, and it's attached to like a chain that goes into his arm, and he uses like a wrecking ball, and he smashes one of the kind of antique looking buildings in Egypt. So I would really like to be able to represent that here. The Devil Studios one obviously is a much higher price scale, but that does have that feature with the kind of chain, which I think looks really cool and fits Scrapper just because it's kind of like his weapon, in my opinion. The thighs look really nice, really wide as you can see, and very much angled out. And then his knees are very cool. I do like the fact that he's got like two pieces coming out from his knee that does form his legs. His legs are very scoop-like, which would look just kind of like lazy transformation, but that's how he looks in the movie. He's got like scoop feet, so it's hard for me to complain at all because it's pretty accurate. So overall, I really like this robot mode. I think it looks awesome. Articulation is quite good. The shoulders have a hinge that can go up quite far, and then it's on a swivel as well. The biceps are on a swivel. They're also on a double hinge. Then this arm is on a swivel right here. It's got a hinge at the wrist, and then it has hinges at each of the claws. On the other side, it's exactly the same thing, but when you get to the wrist, he's got a hinge, very tight, but it goes up and down, no swivel though. Thighs, they swivel out. These pieces can go in. They can't go out much more. This is about as far out as they go, but he's already doing the split, so I don't know why you'd want more out. But as you can see, it kicks up extremely far. The knee doesn't have a ton of range, just very limited hinge because of the strange and bulky way that his knee is shaped. And then his ankles have no articulation. I mean, these kind of flip up, but it's because of transformation. It's not really for the articulation's purposes, but they're so big and bulky that you can still get them in a pose. You can kind of get them like running with one foot off, and as long as you balance the arms there, you can get them completely stable. So yeah, very nice. So overall, I think the articulation works really well on him. He's a very spindly type of design, and the articulation and the sculpt in general really reflect it. I think it looks good. One of my favorite pieces too, just so you know, is that these little like hoses here, I think look great. I love the way that they angle his body out. It makes his upper torso look so much bulkier, and it slims him down so much more at the waist. They're simple, small little pieces, not needed for any transformational purposes, but they just add a whole lot, which I think looks awesome. And it almost makes it look like his shoulders are connected at 2 places, so really nicely done. I think it looks quite good. Instead of, and when I get the final Constructicon, I'll do a big group shot. I'll probably make a group video of comparing them all. But for right now, I'll just show you a shot of Scrapper in my collection so you can see the rest of the Constructicons. And here's my Studio Series Constructicon collection so far. So here's just kind of where I keep them, just one big set. Still waiting for overload. This square, though, in the detail cabinet's quite full already. Not quite sure how I'm going to fit overload in it, but I do plan to do so. But as you can see, here's Scrapper, the newest edition, looking quite nice. And I even have a set of Constructicon heads at the bottom there in front of Scrapper. I figured that I really like the head sculpts of all the Constructicons, and with my version of Devastator that I'm building, I mean, the head sculpts are all supposed to be hidden anyway, so figured I might as well just pop them all off and kind of be able to see the head sculpts all displayed together too. So overall, Scrapper does look very nice with all the other Constructicons. And as far as the Voyager and Deluxes, he looks like the tallest. Rampage was a pretty tall Constructicon, and he was the tallest before Scrapper, but now I think Scrapper beats him. Obviously, Scavenger / Demolisher is the biggest, but he's a leader, and the Overload is probably going to be taller than Scrapper too, but he's a leader as well. But out of the Voyagers and the Deluxes, Scrapper seems to be the tallest, which is cool. Alright, and this is just killing me because it's all but one, folks. So here's Devastator, completely built except for one Constructicon, and that one Constructicon is one of the middle pieces, which means you have several pieces off of him because of it. So that's a shame because I'm so close. It wouldn't be so bad if the last piece wasn't coming out in 5 months from now. I wish that they released these last two a little quicker to each other, or a little closer to each other, because getting the second to last piece and then getting the last piece 5 months difference is a bit of a gut punch. But as you can see, here's Devastator. He's looking cool. I'm definitely liking it a lot. Obviously, there's some issues with this Studio Series Devastator, and when I complete it and really get an in-depth review going, I'll go into that in more detail. But for the most part, he's really quite cool. The only exception to what you see here to what it should be is his left hand. I've actually transformed it differently. I've given it a design that I think looks better. So it's different than what you're supposed to do for the left hand, but I just think it looks better in general. But overall, this is looking awesome. He's looking big. You finally get to see now his full shoulder length, and I've got his arms moved in quite a bit. If I were to stretch them, to the sides, do that famous Michael Jordan picture with them, he would really be stretched out far. So this is going to be quite a big piece. Very excited to build it, of course, and having Scrapper as the right arm really adds another piece, of course, so looking forward to completing it. Alright, so overall this Scrapper figure is great in my opinion. I think it's really awesome. It's super accurate in my opinion from what we've seen of him in the film and of concept art. I think that it's really on par. The overall design's really nice. It works well in all three modes, but I think its best look is in robot mode, which is what I would hope would be the best look, so I'm very happy about that. The limb mode I think could use a little bit of tweaking, but overall this is looking great. I'm loving the robot mode, and it just completely encapsulates or completely captures the Constructicon that we've seen in the film, but have never had a figure of. So very happy to finally have a figure of him, and he's looking awesome. And again, cannot wait for that last piece with Overload. Can't wait to complete my Constructicon set, and more so than anything, can't wait to complete Devastator. But there you go, that's my video review of Transformers Studio Series Scrapper. Let me know what you guys think of him, and thanks so much for watching.